وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم النبيين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. ربي زدني علما. Rabbi Zidni Ilma. Rabbi Zidni Ilma. Okay, inshallah. Very quickly we'll recap what we learned in the last session and then continue on today's lesson, inshallah. Okay. Last time we started with ayat number 19. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in ayat number 19, wa ahdiyaka ila rabbika fatakhsha. And let me guide you to your Lord, so you would fear him. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other surahs of the Quran Majid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the details when Musa alayhi salam went from the valley of Tua to meet Firaun, etc. But in this surah, it is a brief mention of this story. Why is it brief mention now and not in detail? Stories are repeated in the Quran Majid to cite the discussion which is already taking place in the Quran and what will come later in the surah. So, it is placed perfectly in the context of the surah to strengthen the message of the surah's discussion itself. And do you not see any inclination in yourself that I may guide you? So, Firaun is being told by Musa alayhi salam that do you not even have a small feeling of wanting to purify yourself, even a little, that I would guide you to your master. So you would realize how great he really is, causing you to be in the extreme fear of his majesty. This would in fact cause Firaun to humble himself and lose his arrogance. We learn from this that what Musa alayhi salam would tell of knowledge would lead to true fear of Allah. So, knowledge without fear of Allah is not beneficial. Ahdiyaka ila rabbika. Let me guide you to your master with knowledge. Fatakhsha, so as a result of, you fear someone greater than yourself. Then in ayat number 20, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Fa'arahul ayatul kubra. And he showed him the greatest sign. Fa is then. That is, in order to make him find the goodness inside of him, then he, Musa alayhi salam, showed him the ultimate sign, that is Ayatul Kubra. Prophet Musa alayhi salam showed Firaun the biggest signs, and Firaun was scared of all the signs. But the one he feared the most was when his staff, that is Musa alayhi salam's staff, turned into a big living alive snake. To Firaun, the biggest sign was the real snake. To the disbelieving Quraysh, the biggest sign, Ayat al-Kubra, was the miracle of the book, that is Quran Majid. So there was no sign of Firaun wanting to turn good, even after seeing the biggest miracle. Then in ayat number 21, Allah says, فَكَذَّبَ وَأَسَى. But Firaun denied and disobeyed. فَكَذَّبَ, lied against. Lied against what? There is no specific mention of what is lied against. It implies that he lied against everything of the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Musa alayhi salam, his miracle, his conscience. So by simply saying fakadzaba, be lied, it covers lying against everything of the truth. He had no reason to lie against the truth except for the fact that he was arrogant and had no goodness left inside of him. Asa is from the word isyan. Isyan means to disobey, pay no attention to orders, be guilty of mutiny, revolt, make a rebellion against the authority or control, rebel against, etc. Okay, so inshallah, we'll continue from ayat number 22. Summa adbara yasa. Then he turned his back hastily. So let's first understand the word for word meaning, then we'll go into the ayah itself. Summa is then. This is harf of conjunction particle. Yeah. So this is like step 1, step 2 in the story. Yeah. So in this step, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then after listening to Musa alayhi salam, after seeing the miracle of Musa alayhi salam, Adbara, he turned his back. Now this is from the word dubur. Dubur means back. Yeah, it can be, the bottom also is called back. Yeah, back of any human being or animal is also called dubur. Adbara, he turned his back. Yeah, he turned his back. And what did he do? Yes, hastily. So we'll see the word yes, inshallah, hastily. Perfect word, fail, madi. Summa adbara, yes. Then he turned his back, striving. Now, when Firaun turned away after listening to the message of Musa alayhi salam, he schemed to defeat Musa alayhi salam. The big politicians, Firaun was not an ordinary person. Firaun is the king of the whole Egypt. Now, Egypt at that time was very big. There are many other small countries also under his belt. So therefore, he thought he is the greatest king. Now, when somebody challenges the king has to scheme something to defeat that person. Now, Musa alayhi salam has challenged Firaun, his authority, his godship, everything Musa alayhi salam has challenged. Now it is time for Firaun to start scheming. So normally what do they do? He is walking up and down his court or the palace or in his personal chamber. He is walking from one end and he's going to the other end and he is thinking, how can I defeat Musa alayhi salam? Although Musa is like my child, now he has challenged me. He has challenged my authority. Somehow I have to defeat. So what is the scheme? What do I have to do? So he was keep, moving bit faster, not slow pace, bit faster pace. At other places in the Quran Majid, one can find the details of this scheme. He called up his magicians in order to make them compete with Musa alayhi salam and defeat him. No, there are many things happen in between. He did not directly go to the magicians, but what he did do, he called his ministers, all the ministers, his advisors, all the top brass people. He called them and he said, look, this is what Musa alayhi salam is telling me, and this is the miracle he has showed me. Yeah, he showed me the greatest miracle. What shall we do? Then they all suggested, and they said he must be a magician, and that's why his staff turned into a snake. Okay, so now what shall we do? And they all suggested, let's call all the top magicians in the country and compete against Musa alayhi salam. Bring hundreds of them, and they all do the same trick, same magic, yeah, through the ropes or whatever they have, and then they turned into snakes. And what Musa alayhi salam can do with one snake, and there are hundreds of them with these magicians. He said, oh, that's a good idea. Let's call all of them. So he consulted his court confidants they opined that Musa alayhi salam is an expert magician, and if ordinary magicians were made to contest with him, then the chances of defeat and disgrace were quite high. This is what they all thought, that we can defeat Musa alayhi salam. It's not a big deal. We can do it, no problem. So they called expert magicians from all parts of the empire. The contest should be held between the two in an open stadium. Now this is amazing. It is not their plan, it is the secret plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is setting up the stage for Musa alayhi salam to win, to make him victorious. So he called thousands and thousands of people in an open stadium. Just imagine, in olden days, so they used to have this, these big stadiums where they used to, call the people and have fightings with the sword or with animals or something they used to have. Yeah. And such stadiums are made huge, really huge. If you go to Rome, you can, see this kind of stadiums. In Turkey, in many parts of, Europe, you see these kind of stadiums. So they selected a huge stadium and they called all the people, and people are watching. So these magicians, they all came, they gathered, whole, big crowd, and on one side, all of them, and other side is Musa alayhi salam alone. Now, Firaun accepted this suggestion and a contest was held, and the result was a humiliating defeat for Firaun. In other parts of the Quran Majid, bit by bit, this story has been given. A little bit of details in some ayat and in some a brief mention of that. Technically, what happened? All of them, they came and they stood. And Firaun, he started the contest. So what did he do? He asked all of them to throw whatever they have, the magicians, in their hands. And they became hundreds and thousands of snakes. And Musa alayhi salam was really scared, but he had the ilham to throw his staff. So he throws his stick he was holding in his hand, and then this became a huge snake, not a small one. And this snake swallowed all the other snakes. Then he turned back, increasing his efforts. Firaun is in a state of restlessness and wondering what to do next. So the other stories also followed, that when Musa alayhi salam's snake swallowed or eaten all the other snakes, then immediately the magicians, they fell into sajda, and they said, this is from the true God, and now we believe in the God of Musa and Harun. And in fact, the wife of Firaun, Asiya radiallahu anha, she was also watching, and she also accepted Islam. Now there's another story, how she was tortured and killed by Firaun. Okay, so that's another story, inshallah. I think we have dealt with this story in another surah. Okay, but in this story, these magicians, so they all became Muslims. They fell into sajda. Firaun was very furious. Firaun was very angry. He said, if you don't convert back into your religion, original religion, then I'm going to chop off your right hand and left leg, or your left hand with right leg. I'm going to chop. And he did, but still they didn't budge. Yes, from the word sa'i. Now, sa'i is to pace, walk fast, but not run. When we go to Hajj, we do this. We do sa'i between Safa and Marwa. Yeah, we do that. And this is not running, but walking very fast from the same word. Yeah. So he was moving from one end of the room to the other end of the room very fast, and he's thinking, oh, Musa alayhi salam defeated me. Yeah, Musa defeated me. Now what shall I do next? What is the next chance? What shall I do? Can I call other magicians, or can I call some assassins or somebody? How to get rid of Musa alayhi salam? That was the biggest threat for his kingdom, biggest threat for him. The more Firaun tries to put Musa alayhi salam and his message down, the more the audience is amazed at Musa alayhi salam's message. Because although we have mentioned only about one miracle of snake, but there are other miracles also. At the Bayda is also one of them. That Musa alayhi salam can put his right hand into his left armpit. When he takes it out, it becomes bright like sun. That's another one. Then the other one, they came 9 adabs, like they had frogs, they had blood everywhere, many things. Every time Firaun was defeated by Musa alayhi salam, and for a little while he said, okay, Musa, if you remove this, this adab, I'm going to accept your religion, your God and Harun's God. That's what he was saying. And when the azab is gone, again he used to come back to the same thing. I said, no, I was just joking. I'm not serious. So this is why even Firaun's magicians and the wife of Firaun became Muslims whilst the audience watched on. Now this is the biggest impact on the kingdom, or a defeat for Firaun, because people are watching, thousands and thousands of people are watching, and they see that the greatest magicians, they fell into sajda and they accepted the religion of Musa alayhi salam. Now this is a big thing for Firaun. This is the biggest humiliation he ever had. So Firaun gradually loses his authority and fear factor when the truth of Allah's message continues. Now, tadbir is plan something deeply with deep thought. Yeah. Idbar, on the other hand, is plan something quickly without much, thinking. Sometimes we do that, isn't it? When you're building a house, you don't do idbar, you do tadbir. You'll have a detailed plan where the door is going to be, where the windows are going to be, how deep the foundation should be, all this detail. This is called tadbir. Idbar, you just go to the shop, you want to buy some, potatoes or onions, very quickly you're not going to think much. It's not deep thinking. So you buy a few things and you come back. Yeah? So that is idbar, quickly. Idbar is used in this ayah, signifying that Firaun was planning while not being able to give his plans full attention. Most probably because of his fear of losing power. So he is turning back forth and thinking of what to do next. He's quickly thinking. Like some politicians, when they think that they are going to lose the election, what do? They become violent, they do something silly without even thinking how it is going to impact the results. So a similar thing is happening with Firaun also. Okay. So we know from other parts of the Quran Majid that Firaun accused Musa alayhi salam of being one, Majnoon. First he called him Majnoon, a madman or crazy or insane person. So just imagine, Musa alayhi salam, he was like Firaun's son. Although he adopted him, but he was a prince and he was brought up by Firaun. Then one day he did something which he was not supposed to do it, and then he disappeared. Then he is coming back after many years, and then calling himself, I'm the messenger of God, and now I'm telling you that do you want to accept this religion? No, Firaun think that's crazy. This boy, he was brought up in my palace, and now he is challenging me. He is asking me to change my religion. This must be crazy. So this person is Majnoon. Second thing, he called Musa alayhi salam Sahir. Sahir means magician, because he showed him the miracle of the snake, yeah, the stick becoming the snake, and he thought, oh, this is a great magic. So he must be a magician. So he went somewhere and learned this magic. Now he's coming back with this magic and threatening me. Third, Musa alayhi salam, was after power. Now, although Pharaoh knows that he is not after power. Yeah. So the eminent amongst the people of Pharaoh said to him, indeed, this is a learned magician who want to expel you, Pharaoh, from your land through magic. So this came to Pharaoh's mind also, and also through his ministers, that this man, Musa alayhi salam, is after power, because you have overpowered his people, that is Bani Israel. So now he want to take the revenge and he want to expel you, put all the people in Egypt on his side. Then what happens? If people are on one person's side, the king has to leave. He has got no place to live there. So this is, they started telling, Pharaoh, his, this ministers, that he's going to expel you. Musa alayhi salam is going to expel you from your kingdom, from this country, and then he will take over and he will become the king. So these are the three serious accusations coming against Musa alayhi salam. When none of these accusations worked, his story contradicted itself over and over. Then he said, what did he say? Fourth, Pharaoh said, this is in Surah Taha, ayat number 71. You magicians believed him before I gave you permission. Indeed, he is your leader who has taught you magic. So I will surely cut off your hands and your feet in opposite sides. As I told you, he said, right hand with left leg, or left leg with right hand. And I will crucify you on the trunks of palm trees, and you'll surely know which of us is more severe in giving punishment and more enduring. This is the big threat. So not only, he's going to cut off, your body parts, but also he will hang you to the palm trees, and then you bleed to death. So this is a severe, severe punishment he was talking about. In spite of all the threats, the magician said, do whatever you want to. We are not going to change. He said to Asya radiallahu anha also, said the same thing. If you don't convert back, if you don't change, then I am going to kill you. And finally, he put a big boulder on her. And when she can see her home in Jannah. Sorry. So he is running out of ideas. That is, Pharaoh is running out of ideas, and all his claims are sounding more stupid each time. Because as I told you, this is not the just thing. He had 9 other chastisement or azab. He had severe punishment. But every time he used to come and beg to Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam, and he says that I believe in your God. I believe in the God of Musa and Harun. Can you please ask your God to take off, this chastisement? And once it is gone, again he used to come back to the same, same tone, same, his story. So this is exactly what happened when the truth hits falsehood. This is true. When the truth is hitting the falsehood, people get mad. People who are on the side of falsehood, who are cruel people, they go mad. They don't know what to do. And then one after the other, they make mistakes. This is one step before, yeah. But Allah has put in this order, so let's learn in this order. In ayat number 23, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Fahasha fanada. And he gathered his people and called out. In the previous ayah, already we have seen that people came and people saw the magic. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Fa is and, al-fa'u atifa, hashara is to gather. Perfect word, fail madin, Fa is and, conjunction particle, al-fa'u atifa, and nada is he called out. Who called out? Firaun called out. Not himself, through his people, he called out that all the people should gather. As I told you, in the big stadium. Yeah. So he called out all the people, you should witness this. You should witness what is going to happen today. This is going to be an amazing day. So he sent all the soldiers, military people, everybody that, call people out of their homes. They should come and sit inside the stadium and watch this. Fahashra fanada. And he gathered his people and called out. Then gathered his people and called out aloud. Hashara, to gather or herd. This is used more for animals because in another surah we have seen this word is used on the day of judgment. Even the animals will be herded. Animals like lions, cattle, and they all will be herded and they'll be standing next to each other. So similarly here, Hashara is by force. On the day of judgment, by force, all these animals, they will stand in one place. They'll be gathered. We will also be gathered. That's why it is called Yawmul Hashr. So this is the day when everybody will be herded. So Firaun herded all the people together like animals forcefully, and he said, he didn't just call, casually, but he said, if you don't come, you will face my wrath. There are other words also for gathering. For example, Jama. Jama also means to gather. According to the details given at other places in the Quran Majid, he summoned skillful magicians from all over Egypt and made them produce serpents out of sticks and cords in front of the assembled people. So they were convinced that Musa alayhi salam was not a prophet but a magician, and that the miracle worked by him of turning a staff into a serpent could also be worked by other magicians. Now he wanted to prove two things. He wanted to prove who is a better magician. Is it Musa alayhi salam or the other magicians? The second thing is he wanted to prove that he is not a prophet of God. He is just a simple magician. Like, I have got hundreds of magicians here. He is like one of them. He's not a big, deal. But this device of his recoiled upon himself, and the defeated magicians themselves admitted that what Musa alayhi salam had displayed was no magic but a miracle. Miracle in Arabic language we call mawjuza. Mawjuza is from the word ajaza. Ajaza, we use in Urdu language also ajiz. That means to kneel down or bow in front of people. Yeah. So if you submit and if you say that's it, I accept defeat. When we do the sajda, that's what we do, isn't it? We kneel down, put our forehead on the ground and tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are ajiz in front of you. So anybody who accept the defeat and then they become ajiz, and whatever thing make you to become ajiz is called mawjuza. Yes, that is the miracle. Then what did he say? You see, Firaun is a proper and clever, he's a politician. He is very clever politician. Before even starting the magic, before starting the game, before starting, the competition, what did he say? Fakhala ana rabbukumul ala. And he said, I am your most exalted Lord. He said many things also before. There are rivers running under my feet. There's so many slaves. I've got such a big, empire. And now he's telling it's not limited to that. I am your Lord, the Most High. Fakhala, then, this is conjunction particle, alfa atifa. Khala, he said. Who said? Firaun said. Ana, I am. Pronoun, damir munfasil. Rabbukum, your Lord. Yeah, Rabbu, kum. Rabbu is marfu, noun, and kum is pronoun, is majroor. Al ala, the Most High. This is an adjective, sifa, marfu. This is for Rabb. Yeah. Fakhala ana rabbukumul ala. And said, I am your most exalted Lord. No. And he said, Firaun said, I am your supreme Lord. This was already known by the Egyptians at that time, that they have to accept him as their master or Rabb, whether they like it or not. This is not the first time, because Firaun is ruling Egypt from long time. He was a quite old man. So he was a ruler and they used to come and worship him. And everybody know that this man is a god. Yeah? But here on this occasion, he is putting extra emphasis. This is what I said. He was a great politician. The politicians, what do they do? Before election time or before important, speeches, they first show their power. That this is the power I have. They say, I'm going to construct a dam. This dam is going to be beneficial for your land, for your, village or your town. This is going to be beneficial. I am going to construct, loads of roads. I have a lot of money. I have got this money from central government. I am going to spend these things. This is my powers. And then people will listen. This is what he did. He played the same trick. First he said, I am such a powerful Lord that everything belongs to me. The whole Egypt belongs to me. Then he said, watch this. Then finally he said, if you don't turn back, if you don't revert back, this is how I'm going to punish you. You see, he was a total politician. But he had to reaffirm this false belief, to reaffirm his authority, to make sure the people still believed in his, since he knew that the people might be getting influenced by the call of Musa alayhi salam. Already many people, they accepted Islam. After watching what happened, many of them, they became Muslims. And now this was limited at that stage with only magicians and the wife of Pharaoh. But what is happening? This is being spreading. The influence is spreading. Every hour it is spreading. People are talking, and they said that, did you see what happened? And Musa must be a true prophet of God. I will also accept. I will also accept. The word of mouth is spreading. And when Pharaoh heard this, he was very upset. He knows that that's the end of his time. So this is why Pharaoh said, I am your Lord, the Most High. He said, I am Al-Ala, the Most High. Parallel with this event or with Pharaoh. What is the parallel here? The Quraysh polytheists would make the idol worship tradition of their forefathers as the supreme Lord. This was their evil. That's what they did. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, you should not worship these idols, these deities, you should not worship. You should worship only one God, the true God, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, no, no, no. We are worshipping from thousands of years. And now you want to change our religion? This is not acceptable to us. Firaun is mentioned in Surah Zukhruf. ayat number 51 and 52, as saying, and Pharaoh called out aloud amongst his people, O my people, don't have the kingdom of Egypt. These are rivers flowing underneath me. Do you not see? Am I not better than this low class? Referring to Musa alayhi salam and the Israelites, yeah, the slaves at that time. And sometimes he cannot even express himself, that is Musa alayhi salam. Sometimes he used to stutter. Musa alayhi salam, he could not speak properly. Yeah, and that's why he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accompany him, his brother Harun alayhi salam. Now, you see what he's saying, Pharaoh is telling to the people, number one, his power, rivers, yeah, big rivers, like Nile, it is flowing under my feet, because his palace was above Nile. So he's saying that this big river and the other rivers, they flow under my feet. Then he said, these people, this man, Musa alayhi salam, and his people, that is Bani Israel, they were the low class people. They were the slaves of, Pharaoh. Do you accept him? You don't want to worship me. You want to worship the God of Musa and his people. And then he said, look at him. How can he be the messenger of God when he cannot express himself fully? He cannot speak properly. He is stuttering. Now, this of Pharaoh shows that he is arrogant, but it also shows that he is weak deep down inside. This is what happens to the arrogant people. This is what happens to people who are dictators. People who show themselves they are very strong, but deep down inside they are very weak people. They know that if the weakness is exposed, and then they are going to lose the power. This same Pharaoh would not even talk to the people because of his high rank. He is now being challenged to talk to them and convince them that he really is their Lord, because many of them are losing fear of him and preferring Allah as their true Rabb or Master. This is what I was trying to say before, that this message is spreading from one house to another house, one area to another area. People started talking. Really, what shall we do now? Shall we believe Musa and his God, or this man, who is a maniac? So we have to believe in Pharaoh. Yes, definitely he is going to kill us. He's going to torture us. But this is the truth. And many of them, they accepted the truth. This showed that he knew he was losing his authority, fear factor and power, all due to the power of the call of truth. Pharaoh realized. In ayat number 25, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَخَذَهُ اللَّهُ نَكَالَ الْآخِرَةِ وَالْأُولَى. So Allah seized him in exemplary punishment for the lost and the first, that is in transgression. Fa is then. This is Faw Sababiyah. This is the ultimate, as a result of his arrogance, as a result of his cruelty. Finally, Allah got him. Yeah, Allah seized him. So, Al-Faw Sababiyah, part of cause, yeah, particle of causation, and Akhaza, perfect word, fail madin, he sees. Who is him? That is Pharaoh. Who got Pharaoh? Allah. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, proper noun, lafzul jalala in marfu state. Nakala, let's discuss this word. It's an interesting word, nakala, with an exemplary punishment. Al-akhirati, for the lost. Yeah, that is noun is majrur, wa al-ula, and the first. Wow, al-waw watifa, and al-ula is majrur. Let's understand the ayah, inshallah. فَأَخَذَهُ اللَّهُ نَكَالَ الْآخِرَةِ وَالْأُولَى. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seized him in exemplary punishment for the last and the first. Then Allah reminds his messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah is telling the whole story to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَأَخَذَهُ اللَّهُ. So Allah seized him, Firaun. And we all know how Firaun was drowned. Yeah? How Firaun was drowned. The word nakala means an exemplary punishment or an extremely severe punishment given to an offender to deter other against committing a similar offense or sin. Let's understand this. The phrase punishment of the Al-Akhirah refers to the punishment of the hereafter that will be meted out to Firaun. The phrase punishment of Al-Ula refers to the punishment meted out to Firaun and his army in this world, whereby they were destroyed by drowning. Now, you have to remember, Firaun and his people, they were not ordinary criminals. He was a, genocidal maniac, and his people all. They used to kill thousands and thousands and thousands of, the children of Bani Israel. So therefore, one punishment is not enough for them. The punishment in this dunya by drowning them is just a simple punishment. It's one time. But what they have done, that will be meted out in the Al-Akhirah. On the day of judgment, they will all get the final punishment. Let's understand the word nakala. Nakala also means an anklet or bracelet which is tied to the foot and is connected to a chain that is tied up against a wall. It is used in old prisons as well as in the maximum security prison even today. Probably, in Guantanamo Bay or such places, we have seen this punishment is still there. They put a big ring across, around the neck, and then they put the chains. The chains had 4 links, 2 links to 2 hands and 2 links to 2 feet. So they cannot escape. Even if you leave them outside, they cannot run. They cannot move easily. This is the punishment. This is called nakala. It is also an anklet attached to a chain which is tied to other prisoners who also wear anklets, so that when the guards tell them to move, they have to move together. This is another type of punishment. Even today in many prisons in many countries, they do this. Therefore, the nakala can either be to prevent someone from escaping or force them to move even if the movement is not their own. Like if you push one person in the front, what is he doing? He is dragging other people also. If you stop the last person at the end, what is happening? He is holding back all the other prisoners also. So that's a type of punishment. This is a deterrent which places fear into the people, so they do not want to disobey the authority. And if someone was about to be executed, they would be placed in these nakala. Some people who are, say, multi-murderers, they have done many murders. Horribly, they killed people. Then this kind of punishment is given to them. The irony is that Allah made Firaun himself an example of this deterrence, of this nakala for earlier generations and for future, not to intimidate the people ways of Firaun. Not to imitate the ways of Firaun. Al-Akhirati wal-Ula, and has the following implication. 1. Later and earlier crimes of Firaun. Yeah, as I told you, he has not done one, he has done thousands of crimes. Number two, punishment of the afterlife and in this life. And number three, it also has irony because when someone disobeyed Firaun, he would tell them that he will make an example out of them so others don't disobey. That's what he said, isn't it? I will, punish you severely. And this severe punishment is nothing but nakala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an example out of Firaun. He would cut people's hands and feet from opposite sides and crucify them till they died in the heat of the sun. By this, Allah is warning the Quraysh polytheists that He subhanahu wa ta'ala has made an example out of someone much more powerful and wealthier than them in the past. So they should not joke about the messenger and the judgment days. This is what started with, isn't it? The surah started about judgment day. People were making fun of the judgment day. So Allah is giving an example. The messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being told that you don't need to worry, that if they persist in this evil, they will face the same fate as Firaun. I think I'll stop it here. I'll continue in the next session, inshallah. Wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Okay.